India-Pakistan conflict has come to a stop with the ceasefire understanding between the two nations. What do these 4 days of heightened hostilities post-India's precision strikes carried out under Operation Synindur mean for the two countries? Salman Khurshid, former External Affairs Minister and senior Congress leader, is joining us live. Mr. Khurshid, this is a question to the former External Affairs Minister. This was the most intense fighting between the two countries in 2 decades, sir. How do you see the situation after the ceasefire, and how have the terms of engagement changed between Delhi and Islamabad?
Well, I sincerely hope that the ceasefire holds. People have opinions about the ceasefire, and I'm sure that there is a range of points of view. But the ceasefire has happened. Unfortunately, last night there were many reports about the ceasefire not being strictly adhered to, and that raised some doubts. But I imagine since then, the matter seems to have settled down, and the ceasefire, at least for the present, will hold. And on the 12th, which is tomorrow, there will be another round between the DGMOs. And therefore, if there is something that needs to be ironed out, I hope that that will be ironed out. Now, of course, we've learned a lot because technology has started playing a very major role in the way wars are fought now. And this has become apparent, very critically, this has become apparent during the course of the 4 days. But I think that once all this is over, people will take stock and then assess as to what is achieved and how much more could be done. That will come in due course. This is perhaps not the time to be analyzing those things.
Mr. Khurshid, successive Indian governments have, including Prime Minister Narendra Modi's, tried to better relations with Pakistan in the interest of the people of both the countries. But Pakistan has always dealt in treachery. What do you think is the way forward for us, particularly with regards to our neighbor? And having achieved ceasefire, where do we go from here on?
Well, I think there are many loose ends yet, not very clear. That ceasefire obviously must be succeeded by talks. But what will be the format of talks and the structure of talks is, I think, a big question. And ideologically, India has had some issues here, which I think are very well known. Since the ceasefire seems to have come at the partial, perhaps, if not the entire initiative of the US government and the US leadership, we'll have to see where that stands once the DGMOs talk and once a formal structure is figured out as to how we move forward. But clearly, no matter what we do and no matter what we try to reach out on, ultimately there's a bottom line, and that bottom line is terrorism. Now, we've said in our explanatory manner that if there is terrorism, even now, it'll be treated as an act of war. Now, why act of war with ceasefire, etc., you know the implications. But ultimately, Pakistan has to come to terms with that clear articulation that terrorism is unacceptable in any form or manifestation. And unless that is done, I don't think that there is a chance for a great deal to be achieved or accomplished.
Mr. Khurshid, then would you accept that Operation Synindur was that strategic inflection point where India managed to communicate to the world that it can go ahead and dismantle terror outfits functioning from Pakistani soil, Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed, which had their headquarters in Muridke and, of course, at Bahawalpur, 2 of the 9 terror pads which were against whom the strikes were carried out on that day?
Well, this is a very sensitive topic because can we just sit back and think that we've demolished the terror network, and therefore we will not again for many months have to see something of this kind? I think that would be too optimistic, and that would be dropping our guard. So there will be, in due course, there will be intelligence come in, and there will be an opportunity to analyze what we've achieved. But having said that, the fact that we were able to hit so many targets and hit them with precision, I think is very important. There are two aspects there. One aspect is that the government, having moved from one or two targets to a large number of targets in the first phase, and then when the retaliation came, the government was able to respond to that retaliation with military targets, etc. I think those are important things to keep in mind when we make a full assessment of what has been achieved in four days. But certainly, rules of engagement have changed. Technology is playing a very major role, and that perhaps has both advantages and disadvantages, but apparently more advantages in our situation than disadvantages.
When you say that there is a perhaps a line which has been drawn, would you say that this is a more defined red line which has been drawn, particularly after round one of Operation Sindoor, and which was followed by India, striking the air bases inside Pakistan, in Rawalpindi? These were seen as critical military installations inside Pakistan.
I mean, it's all very well to say that, but we still need to wait. And I don't think that this information will be made public, and it will not be in the public domain, possibly. But some people would have to be brought in the loop. And I believe that these multi-party meetings, where all party meetings happen, at some point, something like that will have to disclose a lot more about the effectiveness and the impact of our attacks. We can today assume that the attacks have been as successful as we wanted them to be, but we still need to know a lot more. And we need to know the post-attack conduct of Pakistan is indicative of Pakistan having felt some remorse or some sense of responsibility. When the ceasefire violations were happening last night, one was wondering whether a lesson has been learned or not been learned, because there are explanations about how sometimes it may take time for field commanders to step in line and so on. But is there a larger problem in Pakistan? Some people have talked about that as well. But for us, the bottom line is that we've sent a very strong message. And the important thing in sending this message was not just what we were able to do with our military, but what we were able to do with the widespread consensus in the country, and particularly so amongst the people who came out of the streets of Jammu and Kashmir. I think that is very, 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 very critical. That strikes at the root of what Pakistan would have tried to do, both divide the country and certainly to put the people of Jammu and Kashmir separate from the rest of the country. And I think that didn't happen. That is perhaps the biggest achievement for us and the biggest defeat for them.
Absolutely, Mr. Khurshid, I would agree with you that the larger warfare was playing out at multiple levels, not just militarily. The world increasingly appears to be isolating Pakistan. It is a state which is almost dangerously rogue. How do you then deal with them? Will this Operation Sindoor Part 1 and Part 3 actually make them mend their ways? Or are they becoming a more dangerous state? You have the DG ISPR, and his background is known. And also General Munir, who had spoken about the jugular vein in the context of Kashmir just few days before actually the Pahalgam terror attack happened.
Well, I'm glad you spoke of that, and I think that there is something in the air about are they on the same page? The political leadership in Pakistan today on the same page at the point of the ceasefire agreement? Are they on the same page as the military, or there are some differences? I think we need to factor that into whatever assessments we make for the future. But it might be it might be too soon and a bit premature for us to say that the point has been made and it's been understood and absorbed, and therefore we can expect that this sort of thing will not happen. Then certainly there is some form of deterrence that will work. For how long will it work? It has to be seen. And then in terms of the isolation that you speak of, how much isolation if both countries and their leadership are being referred to by the United States as two great countries and the leadership of two great countries? I think that's a little bit cynical, isn't it? So there's a lot more work, I guess, to be done on the diplomatic front as well. We have to fight on all fronts, and we can't drop our guard anywhere.
My last question to you, sir. A few hours ago, the Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri has been, has faced relentless trolling, and so have the two women officers, Sophia Qureshi and also Vyomika Singh. They were the face of communication for these 4 days that we have seen. How unfortunate do you think it is? I mean, to target a diplomat who has been working tirelessly, to target two officials who were presenting the decisions and actions taken by the executive and also by the military?
Well, I think it's very, very sad because we can say without any hesitation that these three have been a remarkable face of our determination, the clarity of purpose, determination, and the sense of confidence that they gave. All three of them have been remarkable, and I see no problem there at all. There are people in the country who will troll anybody for decisions that are taken at a higher level and decisions that are taken in the enlightened self-interest in modern times. We are not a country of jingoists. We are a country that believes in protecting its rights and its sovereignty, but it's also a country that believes in the nature of diplomatic interaction with the world. And constraining our top officers by putting this kind of pressure on them is very sad. It's really very sad. I would just salute them, and I believe that the best that we can offer to them, we should truly proud of the work they've done.
Absolutely. Former External Affairs Minister Salman Khurshid, really appreciate your time here on NDTV. Thank you, sir, for sharing your thoughts.